You are listening to the Tiny Vet Podcast with me, Dr. Nicole Su, exotics vet for 7 years, and my fiance,
Me.
Jez Watts.
Hello.
He is a
Disappointment.
but also neuroscientist by training, biotech as well, minor in statistics, and we are discussing...
A couple other degrees too, but you know what? I never really learned anything.
They sound really similar. He's got like 5, and I can't remember actually what all 5
It's fine. I've got a massive debt to my university.
Yeah, anyway,
that's the only benefit I've ever had.
What we're discussing, common hot topics in vet med. And today it's actually not super medical, it's more behavioral. And I want to talk about dog training misconceptions because there are so many, and a lot of them have to do with these TV show hacks. The hacks. Absolute hacks. Like, and I'm going to
I didn't even know this well of anger was in you.
Oh, I mean, hack. Absolute hack.
I don't know. I
know
know
you don't know who he is.
I know the names.
He's like the dog whisperer, and he's horrid. He's dreadful.
Okay. Why? What makes him horrible?
Yeah, so he goes on the whole, you got to be the alpha, you got to show them who the alpha is, and actually, the whole alpha idea, where, you know, a dog has to look to the alpha in order to behave, is completely bunk. So that's based on a very old study done on wolf interactions. They weren't actually done on a normal group of wolves. It wasn't a proper cohort. It was actually a captive cohort, which is very different.
Wait, so you're saying the whole idea of an alpha...
Yeah, it's totally wrong.
What?
Yeah, right?
Okay,
This is such a shock to most
But
people.
I'm
It's
still
completely
legitimately a
wrong.
beta, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in the human terms, I think, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Who am I to talk about human behavior? That's the reason why I became a vet, is because I don't like people.
Well, you're the alpha of this relationship anyway. So yeah.
No, Ella is our 10-year-old rabbit. She controls everything. But yeah, that's completely bunk. So that was based on a study done on a captive wolf pack. That was not an equivalent for wild one, because wild wolf packs are actually families. They're equivalent of human families that are out there.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean that the dad's the alpha or anything like that. You've got a breeding pair that cooperate together, and the breeding pair may have relatives that are in the pack as well.
Okay.
But they don't compete for status. It's just like, you know, my uncle's living with us for a couple of years, and, you know, he cooks dinner once a week, that kind of thing.
So is the breeding pair normally in charge? Like
Not
the two of them together?
No, well, like if you live, let's say, I'm Asian, Jez has Indian background, you know, and if you live the whole...
I look pretty white, though.
He's
just
extremely
in
white.
case anyone finds me online and they're like, he's not an Indian. It's like, no, I know, I'm pretty white. But my mum comes from India, and their whole family.
But it's that, you know, concept of the whole family under one roof thing, and you go, well, you know, the breeding pair, which would be the, you know, the mom and dad or whatever, they're not always the boss over, you know, grandpa or grandma.
In my experience, the older grandmother is always the boss.
Yeah, absolutely. Or you might have an auntie or uncle there that's like, so wild wolf packs actually are much more closely related to, you know, how the hierarchy of a normal human family is.
Okay.
And the reason why they saw all that, you know, alpha, whatever, dominant male thing, is because the group of wolves that they studied, they were just a bunch of random wolves that were thrown together because they were in captivity.
Right.
So it was a very poor approximation.
So when dogs are strangers to each other, the alpha, beta, gamma paradigm has been shown to arise.
Yeah.
But when they know each other, it's a more loose-knit family group. Yeah,
absolutely. And, you know, if you think about a pet dog in a household, well, that's the same thing. He's in a family group. He's in a loose-knit family group. And I really hate it because it has brought on a lot of misinformation and a lot of suffering.
And should I be sniffing random dogs' butts?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, cool.
Stick your tongue in the little puckery hole as well.
I've been trying, but
okay.
they never...
Yeah, they don't keep trying. It's fine.
Enthusiastic consent's important, folks.
But what I really want to highlight is the alpha idea is bunk, but here's the solution: positive reinforcement training.
Mm-hmm.
I love positive reinforcement training because, one, it works. You can positive reinforcement train any species. They've done it on goldfish. And it is humane. It's pleasant for everyone involved. So positive reinforcement training means that you reward the behaviors that you want, and you don't punish, you ignore the behaviors you don't want. And eventually, because the positive behaviors are being rewarded and the negative ones are being ignored, they're going to perform those positive behaviors more often because it's what gets them what they want.
Right.
And it's so much more humane because they're getting a treat. as opposed to the freaking alpha roll where they like forcibly roll a dog over and make him stay there.
They roll them?
Yeah, it's really horrible. Yeah, to show them who's boss. Like, no, like, would you do that to a human child? Hopefully not.
Okay, but you did that to me yesterday. You rolled me on my back and you held me down and you said, "Who's in charge of you?"
And what did you say?
I said, "It's you, mommy."
Anyway, positive reinforcement.
To be honest, I didn't learn any lessons.
So that's why.
She just wanted to do it
if
to make
I
big
actually
herself up.
had done positive reinforcement training with Jez, he maybe would.
You give me a cookie.
Yeah, he maybe wouldn't be a comedian now. He'd be a functioning member of society. But here we are. So positive reinforcement. One thing I really like is clicker training, where it's the best thing in the world for the animal because you teach them to associate something positive, like a cookie, with a sound. So usually it's a click. You can get like little clickers, or you can use any sound you want. Some people use a word. Yes is a really common word that's used.
The last thing I said, you didn't. So for listeners, she didn't actually roll me over. But I have noticed you doing the clicks at me. You've been clicker training me.
Oh.
Yeah, you rumbled now.
No.
This podcast was a bad idea for you. What have you been training me to do?
Tune in the next episode for what we've been training Jez to do. Goodbye. The Tiny Vet Podcast is brought to you by Upilio. Sources for our topics can be found at upilio.io. Outro music by Matt Charleston.